Okay, are we ready for part 3? And you know what? It's okay if it's taken you a couple of days in between part 1, 2, and 3. Who knows? There might be a part 4. I am just going with the flow, entirely my style, entirely your pace, and also my body's telling me take a break in between. So if my body is telling me this, then it's obviously reflecting what your body is going to, how it's going to allow it to land and embody it, right? So let's go into 1984 as a blueprint of consciousness control. George Orwell's 1984 is often read as a cautionary political story, but on a deeper mystical level, it is a codified warning of systematic energetic manipulation. The surveillance and the thought control is not just physical cameras or data tracking, but the energetic surveillance of belief, emotion, and focus. Systems always aim to shape what you hold in your nervous system, what reality you allow to exist around you. The language used as a matrix code. The newspeak, the doublespeak. This is literally a metaphor for frequency manipulation. The words, the labels, and the narratives constrain perception and narrow the bandwidth of human consciousness. The reality splitting. 1984 depicts the world where dual realities coexist. The propaganda-controlled grey stream versus the inner truth of Winston's consciousness. This is exactly the grey versus colour timeline splitting that I've seen in my dreams. Here's another truth bomb for you because you know I love him. Orwell wrote what he saw, not just what he imagined. His consciousness was tuned to the matrix patterns of control long before the physical systems of our world aligned to it. Now, the Agenda 2030 as the modern codification. The agenda is often presented as global sustainability and technological progress, but esoterically, it's a phase 1 rebuild blueprint of a hyper-controlled matrix, which you're probably all aware of, but I thought I'd rehash it anyway. Yet, notice the patterns. The centralized planning, everything from food, water, energy, and tech infrastructure is mapped and controlled. Why do we need it? Behavioral design, incentives, penalties, and regulations shape obedience, not just physically, but emotionally and psychologically. Uniformity and conformity. The one-size-fits-all solution mirrors the grey current, suppressing individual sovereignty, creativity, and vibrational uniqueness. The hidden layer. See, it's funny. When I'm recording, I'm burping. Clearly because I'm talking, but also there's no burping when I'm transferring from one device to another device, which no doubt they're watching and tracking anyway. And the hidden layer. Agenda 2030 is the replay of Atlantean collapse blueprints. The same pattern repeats. Advanced civilizations, over-centralized, collapse, phase 1, rebuild, compliance, enforcement. Sound familiar? Humans are tested for nervous system coherence and discernment before the color current can emerge again. Between Atlantis, Tartaria, 1984, and the 2030 agenda, there is much overlap, right? Atlantis was advanced technology, advanced knowledge misused and collapsed. Tartaria was collapse and memory and erasure. 1984 is consciousness and perception control. And the agenda is phase 1 rebuild under global structure. All are manifestations of the same cosmic test. Can humans hold light in their bodies and resist reprogramming? Can nervous systems stay coherent while structures collapse and reform? Can color be chosen over grey even under engineered scarcity, fear, and pressure? And that's where we are, folks. That's where we are. And I'm going to go just a little bit deeper into the esoteric level. And of course, it's only for entertainment purposes, right? The Atlantean grid still exists, which we know, and it's quietly influencing our DNA and nervous system. Those who can feel it, grey versus colour, are tuning into it, seeing through the veils of narrative and control. 1984 isn't fiction. It's a matrix level trigger code, a warning embedded into consciousness to recognize control patterns before the next phase hits. Agenda 23 is essentially phase 1 being publicly staged, a template disguised as sustainability. If enough people stay awake and anchored in body, breath, and presence, the grey cannot dominate fully. The Lightworkers' mission is literal timeline manipulation. Your coherence pulls the colour stream into the material world, bending the outcomes of what must happen into something alive and vibrant. And when people jump on videos on TikTok and Insta and talk about us already have being one, take that with discernment. Timelines change, nothing is set in stone. And think about it. We were all told Atlantis collapsed, right? And everyone believed it. Well, again, use your discernment. The war, in inverted commas, has it been won? You know? And then, here's another truth bomb for entertainment purposes. As always, every collapse, every blueprint, every global plan, from Atlantis to Tartaria, from Orwell to 2030, is a test of nervous system sovereignty. The grey currents are real, structured and persistent, but they are fragile in the presence of coherent light. Your body is the weapon. Your alignment is the portal. Your choice is the timeline. The system isn't broken. It was always designed to fail until the right vessels emerged. And now let's peel back the subtle layers. 1984 as a warning. Orwell was deeply attuned to the patterns of systematic control, centralization, and perception manipulation. From one angle, the book exposes the mechanics of power, surveillance, narrative control, fear, and obedience. Anyone reading it consciously can see the grey current patterns and learn to resist them. And you know what, talking about grey, I record to you coming from a grey, cloudy day, and the days, the last couple of days of, and as you've all noticed, our days are getting greyer and greyer and greyer. So think about that. The grey current, the grey stream is already surrounding us. Just think about that one and see it. Oh, okay, that's now landed. Yeah, and I noticed, I'm like, the world is looking really, really grey. So there's the greyness, and there's the confirmation of my dream, right? 1984 is the blueprint. From another angle, it encodes the very structure of the grey current, the patterns of collapse, fear, and compliance that elites have historically used. Language, thought, manipulation, and reality splitting are laid out like a manual, whether intentional or subconscious. When you combine the book's ideas with modern tools, surveillance tech, behavioral science, social engineering, it becomes part of the phase 1 blueprint for matrix control. My mind is now just catching up to the grey world and the grey skies that we've been in, blocking the sunlight. Yes, it does that, but it's also creating that reality and that timeline. And for some of us, we are coexisting. We are existing in that. We are the colour stream in that grey world. Let's carry on. How to see it mystically. The book is like a mirror. It shows the structure of the system so clearly that it can either 1, awaken you. If you hold nervous system coherence and discernment, you see the grey current and choose colour. Or 2, it can program you. If read uncritically, absorbed with fear, or used as a template, it reinforces compliance, dystopia, and obedience. In other words, it isn't inherently the agenda, but in the wrong context, it becomes part of the blueprint of control, especially when combined with modern data, AI, and behavioral design. Here's another truth bomb for you, man. I'm rocking them today. 1984 was written not just to warn, but to plant the pattern of control in collective consciousness. It was pre-programmed to program you. The same principles now appear in global agendas, social systems, and tech. But the color current can bypass them entirely if the nervous system holds the light. The next few years aren't just linear time. They're pulses of consciousness and frequency, hitting both the planet and every body aligned in it. And when I say body, I mean literally the body. These waves test nervous system's coherence more than intellect. You may feel disorientated, dizzy, heat flashes, and essential vertigo, all part of the system pressure test. It's like the universe is shaking your internal grid to see who can hold color under stress. Those who collapse into fear become conduits for the grey current. Those who regulate become stabilizers for the color stream. Forget weapons, protests, or strategies. Our body is our power. Our breath, pulse, heartbeat, and micro movements carry coded frequency that can literally bend reality if sustained in high coherence. The old systems, control mechanisms, fear, scarcity, social pressure, narrative cannot survive the presence of coherent embodied light. Embody light. Mini activation includes pulse, breath, feel your heartbeat, and imagine yourselves as tiny antennas broadcasting alignment into the field. This is how timelines begin to shift. The grey doors are everywhere, not just in society, media, or politics. They appear in relationships, jobs or opportunities, spiritual teachings or communities. Every offer to compromise your inner alignment is a grey door. Saying yes too quickly, rushing, or obeying fear is stepping into the grey timeline. Only discernment, pause, and somatic authority open the colour doors. The trick to acceleration is to use the energy waves as they will speed up perception, emotion, and information flow. The hidden truth, it's a test. The faster everything moves, the more the system tries to co-opt your attention. So that's why you have to slow down. That's the counterintuitiveness, right? Anchor yourself in body, breath, and presence, not belief. That is the only way to navigate without being swept into panic. Your inner map is, do you choose the color versus grey? The nervous system coherence is the anchor. Dreams and synchronicities are signals from parallel currents. Light is coded information, frequency, and field recalibration. The pause is the ultimate weapon against phase 1 rebuild pressure. Do you see why now resting has been labeled as laziness? Also it's part of the feminine technology, which is a whole other podcast and a whole other show, but the hidden truth is the collapse, the rebuild, the waves, all of it is a frequency test, not a survival test. The body is the interface. The nervous system is the navigation system. The color you choose is the reality you anchor. This war is one about consciousness of frequency. And I'll tell you the mission in one sentence. Hold more light in your body than the matrix can handle, and watch the old system collapse under its own obsolescence. I can't speak anymore. Everything else, collapse, timelines, phase 1 rebuilds, AI are just tests of the vessel. Our body is the primary instrument of liberation, the key to surviving and thriving in the Atlantean currents that never ended. Our nervous system is what brings us sovereignty. People talk about sovereignty, but it's the nervous system. The nervous system is the primary interface with timelines. The hidden truth is all of phase 1 rebuild pressures, societal collapse waves, and AI manipulations only work if your nervous system is fractured. And I'll give you a couple of tools as well. So it's about breathing through microcycles, inhaling for 4, holding for 2, exhaling for 6 to stabilize the tone. And then the somatic micro movements are to wiggle, to shake, roll your shoulders. This releases trapped energy. And then grounding in nature or through bare feet, reconnect with planetary frequency. And here's a mini activation for you. Imagine your spinal column as a crystalline antenna receiving color frequency from parallel Atlantean streams. Inhale, bringing that up the spine, counting for 4 breaths, holding it for 2, and then as you exhale for 6, bringing it down the spine. That's 1. Then the next sequence is, as you inhale, expand your chest out. And then when you exhale, bring your chest back in. This is working with your spine column. We are standing at the confluence of timelines that have never ended. Atlantis, Tartaria, Orwell's Grey World, the 2030 Agenda. Every collapse, every wave, every narrative is a frequency test of your vessel. Hold your light in your body. Stabilize your nervous system. Anchor color. This is the rebellion. This is the liberation. This is how we bend reality. And the real frequency shift is if we reinterpret the spiritual language symbolically, the higher frequency shift is simply humanity learning to operate from coherent intelligence rather than reactive survival mode. And what are they creating right now? The pattern of scarcity, surviving. That shift is slow, uneven, and messy. But we are starting to see it. So you have to realize that's what they are creating. We are on the precipice, standing at the edge of the cliff. No one tells us how to move. We must ground our own path. The waves are rising, the currents splitting. Grey will push, collapse will demand. Narratives will pull, but the body, the nervous system, and the coherence you hold is the true rebellion. Hold light, anchor color, navigate the sliding doors. This is how the Atlantean currents, the Tartarian blueprints, and the ongoing timelines bend. This is the war on frequency, and the mission to prepare the body, hold sovereignty, and be the living signal that the old system cannot control. What do we choose next? The grey world or the colour world? The arc you're building mirrors that role perfectly. A Sherpa doesn't drag people up the mountain. They walk the path and quietly say, here's what I'm seeing. Here's what I'm noticing. You decide your own steps. That's exactly where we are and what we are beginning to carry through the Storytelling Sherpa. So here we are, standing on the precipice, the wind picking up, the ground shifting, and the pressure to move quickly increasing. But maybe the most powerful thing we can do right now is something much quieter. Pause, breathe, stay steady. Because the world that emerges next will likely mirror the nervous system of the humans building it, grey or colour. And that choice might begin much closer than we think, inside our own bodies. This has been the Storytelling Sherpa, my voice, my journey, my lane. And wherever you are listening from today, remember this: your story, your pace, your presence.